All right. So Georgia wins 31-13, beats Auburn. It wasn't really that sexy of a game. It was very boring, very methodical, workmanlike. I think that's what even not Scott Howard, but Eric Zier said. So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Let's recap it. Give us your thoughts, initial thoughts.
Um, yeah, I think workmanlike would be an accurate description. Not a ton of big plays. Georgia obviously played better for 4 quarters. We didn't see the coming out. They took what was it, opening drive. They had a long drive to score. They put 7 on the board right away. But I still see. I mean, it's the things that concern me are these things that we've got to just be, in my opinion, as Georgia fans, be honest about. We are getting substandard play along the offensive line. By the way, I thought Bobo came in for his first game and then played in SEC first SEC
And
game.
against a very good defensive line.
And I thought he played really well. I think just looking at it again, Fairchild did not have a great game. Xavier Truss at right tackle did not have a good game. Micah Morris, I gotta have more. I mean,
a lot of up and down play with him.
It's all of our offensive line, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert, but I've watched a lot, and I did play a long time ago. They're way too high. They're catching, and whenever they make contact, their leg drive, they don't have any leg drive. So we catch people and hold them up, and you got to be able to do more than that. So that's the first thing. There were still some erratic throws, I think, from Carson Beck. I know he was 80%, but it was a lot of check downs. But it also is because he's getting pressure pretty quick, and a lot of things he's not seeing the field as good as there was a lot of stuff on backside. If he'd had just a second more, I think that could have been wide open and bigger plays. And it was almost like every play, I mean, it's just one person not doing their job, taking the wrong step, getting beat, whatever the case. Outside blocking by the receivers was not as good as what it should be, quite honestly. And so all those things together, and then we talked about it in the last video in a different context, but we deferred. We're playing well, pretty well in the first half. Dirty Dan gets a block punt, so we got momentum on our side, and we're going to get the ball back in the third quarter. We go 3 and out, and it was pathetic. Yeah. And so that's the kind of stuff when you're talking about building momentum and putting your foot on a other team's throat and just crushing the life out of them. We're just not doing it. So those are all the reasons why I'm still concerned. And then, I'm going to call out some coaches. I think on third down, here's the thing. Now we've been in way too many third downs all year long. This time around, we were in third and manageable. So I made this comment to you, I think, right after the game. We are now starting to manage third down. If you remember back when Muckham was the offensive coordinator, yes, of course we had third downs. But we made our money on first and second down, so we didn't have a whole lot of friggin' third downs.
Right.
And so, and also uncreative, or lack of creativity on third downs. That mesh concept that we've run over the middle. If I can sit in here watching the game live and I'm seeing it as a layperson, then Auburn's defensive coordinator and their players know what's coming. We ran it so much. So, and everything in this offense is laborious. Nothing is easy.
Right.
Arian Smith, God love him, but he's got hands like bricks, and he is a straight ahead. He's a burner, straight line, but you're trying to get him involved. He had one catch, I think, on Saturday. I don't know how many attempts that he had, but
he didn't have a whole lot of snaps either.
but he just and Yurcik, I know we complained about him, and I still don't think he should be over here in the SEC playing football, but he acquitted himself much better this game. At least it wasn't a disaster. I went back and watched, the offensive line play and watched the tight end play. He's better, but we have got to get Lawson Lucky more in this offense as a pass catcher.
Yes.
If you go back and watch that game, there were some misplays that could have been wide open to him. That just one little thing that would have been different. But could have, should have, would have. But my main thing is not explosive in the run game. Pass pro's not that great. Offensive line play substandard based on the athletes and the size that we got, and that's supposed to be a strength of ours. I'm not seeing it. And Cyril's needs to be, we need to have a hard look about this. This is not good.
Yeah, it's not great, but see, so here's the thing. Like, I think we gotta. It took around this time last year for Georgia to find its offense identity. Like it was 6 weeks before we saw Georgia offense become what it was last season, and I think that's happening here too. Outside of the Kentucky game, Georgia scored over 30 points every time. And Georgia had 9 possessions. Really, they had one at the end of the game. We're not going to count that one. That they just took a knee. But they had 8 possessions. They scored 5 out of their 8. So that's good. Given and 8 possessions is not a lot in a football game. Auburn had kind of the same game plan as Kentucky had, where they're just going to sit on the ball and make us be perfect. And luckily, Carson Beck, again, I don't think he did enough. And I think a lot of the criticism has been kind of unfair because I don't think it's entirely on Carson Beck.
Oh, I don't either.
Well, kind of to your point, offensive line play is not good. Wide receivers haven't been that great. He was good, and he could be better for sure. And I'm sure Carson Beck would tell you that he could be better. And I expect him to be better in the next couple of games here, because after this game, it became very clear to me, as Carson Beck goes, this offense goes. And we need him in Texas and Ole Miss and Tennessee. We need him to be the Carson Beck of the second half of last year. So, to me, that was the biggest takeaway from the game. I thought they played a B game on offense. B wasn't anything sexy. It's more almost like an NFL game where they have to have long drives. There's not explosive plays.
No.
But here's the positive. Here's a positive from that. Texas is not a very good defense. Tennessee, not a very good defense. Ole Miss, not very good. So the 3 games that we need the most, not very good defenses. So I don't think after this point, Georgia's going to face a defense like Alabama, which is not that good, as we saw in the second half of Georgia, Alabama, and then Vanderbilt. Auburn's better than Alabama on defense. Auburn's up there with Kentucky. Kentucky's one of the best defenses in the SEC. And Clemson has a really good defense as well. You're not going to face those caliber of defenses anymore the rest of the year. So hopefully some of these things that we're seeing where, and it's little things too. It's like you said, one guy gets beat and it blows up everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
not taking the right steps. It's fundamental stuff. Not taking the right steps.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully those things get corrected, and I think they will be, because look, from Alabama to Saturday's game against Auburn, there was an improvement. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
So these things, so these things are getting better, and with us not facing as opposing defenses down the stretch. Hopefully this offense starts to look a little bit better and can be more explosive, and then come playoff time, can do what they need to do to win a national championship. This thing is wide open and as you saw last Saturday, I mean, it's completely open. And Ohio State hasn't played anyone, nor is Oregon. They're about to play each other this weekend. Texas is playing Oklahoma. You never know what's going to happen in that game. I don't think there's going to be an SEC champion who's undefeated.
I don't either. Yeah, Texas is the only undefeated team in the that's in the SEC that's still ranked, right? So
yeah.
So they're, but I don't know if Texas is going to go through the whole season.
Well, they got Oklahoma, they got Georgia, and they have Vanderbilt.
Giant killer,
which is real. So, again, this thing's wide open. Georgia, I still think is up there with the best teams. They can certainly win it. Everything is correctable on offense. Also, another thing, because I rewatched the game as well. Another thing that I noticed is this wide receiver rotation starting to get figured out. Did you notice that?
No, but I mean, there's a couple of players that in my opinion, we've got to start using more and find a way to get them. Colby Young, he's a yard after contact type of guy. And he is a big body on the outside. And I'll tell you another one. I hope he doesn't get mono anymore. But London Humphrey coming in, dude, he is he reminds me, he's a fast twitch guy that he can be open in a tight space. And I like that about him.
Well, here's the other thing. He has Arian Smith's speed, but he doesn't have Arian Smith's hands, which is great. So I think you're going to see more of London Humphreys and you're going to see more Colby Young. I started noticing that the rotation is starting to be Colby Young, Landon Humphreys, Dominic Lovett, Dylan Bell, and then, some guys coming in just as relief. But you're not going to see a lot of Arian Smith. He's going to be situational. Where is Nate Frazier?
I don't know. He's a difference maker. And here's the other thing too. I know I'm harping on offensive line, but it's also coming down. We got to quit asking our offensive linemen who aren't athletic and can't move in space, i.e. Xavier Truss, to stop trying to get out on the perimeter and make blocks. We cannot do that to our offensive linemen. That's not his game. And dude, and that's the other thing. These receivers on the outside, when we throw those screens like that, they got to hold their blocks, man. And our offensive linemen are with him when we get out there, and our receivers on the edge are not holding their blocks. But to your point, I guess it's because Nate Frazier can't pass block, but man, he's a difference maker. He seems to run harder, and Branson doesn't have his confidence back yet. We need to see him more. I don't know when
is Roderick Robinson going to come back?
I don't know.
I mean, he's been out since game 1 with a toe. I would think by now he would be back. Are we going to have him before Florida, or are we going to have him during Florida week? When is he coming back? I have no idea. And that your point about getting tackles out in space, that was our criticism last year of this team. You can go back and look. There were multiple times where we were like, why is Xavier Truss going out there on a jailbreak screen? He's not athletic enough. They continue to do it. So I don't think that's going to be fixed. So
I guess not. But anybody that watches film, I just don't see how they can continue to ask the poor kid to do it. It's just not. It's not. He's not.
I don't know. I don't know. Now we've focused a lot on the offense, but we're both offensive minded guys. Defensively, Jonel Guerrero, he ain't gonna play much longer. He can't tackle. He's soft. I'll tell you who's not soft is KJ Bolden, and he needs to play more, Kirby. And I don't care how old he is. He's a ball player. So he needs to get in there more often. And second half, by the way, if you didn't notice, second half, there were a lot of adjustments with that defense.
I didn't notice. I paid more attention to the offense, to be honest. But yeah, to your point, missed tackles again.
But here's the thing. It's Dalen Everett. Really good in pass coverage. He's gotten a lot better in pass coverage. Can't tackle. He's tissue paper soft. Terrible. Chaz Chambliss. You can run into a guy as hard as you can, my man. I love you. I think you're a damn good dog, and you've been a program guy. But, to set the edge, you got to push forward and try to get to the ball carrier. It's not just hitting the pulling guard, right? Like that is the next step. And he just stops when he gets contact. That's a problem. And
that can run outside and have athletic enough offensive linemen to get outside. We can't maintain the edge. We just can't.
Right. So, and then my next point is gang tackling really good. This team pursuing the ball has greatly improved since Kentucky. I can tell they've been working on pursuit. But again, there were times in that game. I think it was Gabe. Who's number 29? Gabe Harris.
Yes.
And I know Hunter's a really good back. He's probably the best in the SEC. One of. It looked like, I don't know, it was in the second half. He had the angle on him and just gave up. Like, slow down, which I don't understand. So it was just one thing I noticed. But gang tackling, pursuit-wise, this team has gotten a lot better since Kentucky. And they really do a good job at that. Individual tackling has gotten better since Alabama for sure. But it's still not where it needs to be. And there's certain guys that will probably will have less snaps over the course of the season that have been the issue of that, i.e. Jernell, Aguero, Chess Chambliss, Dalen Everett. If you notice, Dalen didn't play very much in the second half.
Tell you what I did see. Did you see on one of the plays where it was Humphreys and it was sort of a screen out there, and he just came up and he just knocked the living. He'll hit you. I mean, I know he's not. What was it? The Alabama game where he got burnt some, but right. I like his physical play out there. But yeah, the tackling on this team, this Georgia's defense, is a little surprising so far. At how it's probably the worst tackling team this point in the season that I've seen Kirby Smart have. For
sure. And, defensive line improved. Tyrone Dawkins, again, he has made himself a lot of money this year.
Yes.
He's flashed, and I think he's only going to get better over the course of the season if he can stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Oh, God.
Because, he flashed a couple of years ago in the spring game.
Right. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Christian Miller, I thought he played pretty good. That's back-to-back games where he's played all right. I think he's going to be pretty good. So, Raylan Wilson, God, why am I blanking on number 3? Come on, help me. CJ.
Yeah, Smith.
No, it's not CJ.
Allen?
CJ Allen, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
They played well. Jalen Walker played well. Michael, he didn't get a lot of snaps, but especially on that first, the first or the second drive for Auburn, he definitely influenced on a third down there to get a stop.
It looks like, I don't know what it is, but it looks like, I don't know if it's the scheme or if it's just when he wants to, but it looks to me like Jalen Walker, he could take over a game.
Yeah.
Like, he's got that type of ability. That when they went for it on fourth down and he covered the running back and the quarterback and shut that whole play down, he has that ability, and you see it. And I just don't know why we don't see it
more
all the time.
Yeah, but I agree. So the defense has improved. I know Auburn's offense really is a decent offense if they don't turn the ball over. And Georgia did a good job maintaining that and really didn't allow them a lot of opportunities to score, which was good. But again, there still needs to be improvement, because the thing is not Texas that really worries me that much. And we'll see more of Texas when they play Oklahoma. It's more, Ole Miss is more of the game that worries me now, because Ole Miss can run the ball. Texas hasn't shown the ability to run the ball. They're going to be a explosive offense, throw downfield. I'm not too worried about that. I think Georgia can do enough to where they can, hold it at least. The Ole Miss game, that scares me. And so we'll see. I don't know. I don't know where this is at, but
I have no idea where this is at.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna. It really comes down to Texas, and we'll see. Because Georgia, if they lose that game, they'll probably limp to the finish line and then lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. If they go to Texas and they win, who knows? But again, this thing's wide open. Tennessee's not as good as everyone thought they were, which I think both of us said, and I've been saying it very vocally. They're not good. They're not a championship level team. Alabama, they got issues. They got a lot of issues. And Ole Miss obviously has issues as well. So Georgia's in the thick of this thing, and last week we thought the sky was falling. So I don't know. This team's still in the mix. They can
Maybe
still
the sky's not falling, but it's just really fucking foggy. Because I still don't know what we got, and there's going to have to be a tremendous amount of improvement. And you asked me last week, can they be fixed? After going back and I rewatching the games, yeah, they can be fixed. But when you're seeing the same shit happen over and over and over, and it's not getting fixed, that's what concerns me. Is that they're playing better. Okay, some of the stuff, I guess, but this stuff with the offensive line is really concerning. And that's one of the reasons why I think Carson's not seeing the field as good and is because he's a little bit gun shy. He doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in this offensive line. And quite honestly,
who can blame him?
I can't blame him right now.
Yeah, I don't either. So let's end it like this. Can Georgia win a national championship still in 2024?
Sure.
Okay, but do you see a world where they finish 12-1 and get a first round bye and win, or no?
No, I'm thinking this team is going to. I think I said before this season, I think this is a 2-loss team.
I still think this team can be a 12 loss. They're definitely not going to be a 12-loss team, but a 1-loss team and still win the SEC. We're gonna all have to accept it. It is going to be one of those where they're going to have to just be workmanlike and drive the ball down the field and methodical and be on it every single time they play elite competition. And because we have elite talent, we'll be able to do it. But you have to play mistake-free football, and I don't know if they can do that.
Well, and you got to consistently execute. And the stuff that we see happening now, getting beat, on a critical play and taking the wrong step and not holding your blocks and all those things, that if you're going to go on long methodical drives, you got to do that shit every play.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what worries me going forward with this team in big games, because you're going to have to do that. You're almost going to have to play perfect, and that's the only way they can do it. And I
don't think you can bet on any scheming up wide open plays.
You can't, and that's another problem. But I think this team still. I mean, look, last week showed us, and Georgia kind of stayed above the fray and just kind of floated along. And that's you need to be consistent like that. And throughout college football, there hasn't been a lot of consistency. Georgia's been relatively, you can say whatever you want about them. They've been consistent. So if they just keep, keeping their head above water, who knows? But again, listen, I said let's end it this way. Let's end it again this way. Chances of Georgia winning the national championship are what, percentage-wise?
I don't know, 52%.
52%. I think Georgia 70%, still 70, 75%. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll have to do a report during the bye week in between Texas and Florida. This video could be drastically different than the one in that bye week. Who knows what that one will be like. All right. Check us out on social media at Terminus Sports _ATL. Check us out on, YouTube, obviously. Like, subscribe, comment. Give us your percentages on why you think Georgia or percentage-wise of Georgia winning a national championship, give us your realistic expectations for Georgia finishing out the season. Remember to like and subscribe. And then also our presenting sponsor, our beautiful presenting sponsor, Unishippers Atlanta. Give us a pitch.
We're with small to medium-sized companies on helping them reduce their shipping costs, both their small shipping like their FedEx, USPS, and UPS, as well as bigger stuff like pallets and freight with LTL carriers, common carriers like the Southeastern, Old Dominion, things of that nature. So if you think you're paying too much for shipping, feel free to reach out and ask for Holland Martin.
All right, give a shout out to Holland. We'll be back later on this week to break down probably Thursday. Expect the video to be up on Mississippi State, Georgia. I don't know how much we're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to give it a college try. So expect the video come Thursday. All right, see you guys then.
See ya.